start here to open the meeting. We want our committee members to sit at one of these 4 tables. Okay, faculty, if we have any faculty, please sit over here. Any patrons from the community, right there, Joe, you're perfect. We'll have Mr. Rasmussen open the meeting, and then we'll turn over to Bob. He'll run us through some things, and we'll get to work.
All right, when I call the meeting to order, we'll start with the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any motion to declare open meeting?
So moved.
Second, declare open meeting, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Notification of the Human Keeping Act, right here, right up here on the door. Roll call, myself, yes, Wyatt.
Here.
Yep. Kate, yep. Justin.
Present.
What's this now? Number 6, approve the agenda.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Move the second, approve the agenda, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. At this point, I'll turn it over to Bob. Discussion of the results of the updated survey.
All right, we need a few smaller groups. This table's too big. We need a few over here. I know.
And ideally, in different groups than you
Yeah,
were
I don't want
last
you
meeting.
sitting next to the same people if you can remember who you were with last time. The thought process being that we want to have those small group discussions like we did at the last meeting.
And board members will join you.
Yes, the board members want to jump into the different groups as well. Okay, a couple of things to update you on. Wait for the board members to get set. We have the survey results.
Yes. Yes. And more than that.
Okay, so a quick recap from last time. We had a couple different floor plan options that the groups went through, multiple options. We had some feedback from A, B, C, and D, and we asked you to kind of give us some direction to get to that plan E. Well, from there, we're back to an A and a B, okay? And this is based on the feedback from last time, but not necessarily based on the feedback of the survey. We had these plans done prior to getting the cost estimates put into the survey. Everybody should have got the survey, it was last Saturday, right? So we had 21 responses from the group. You can see, essentially, we still have some of the original responses. If you go page by page, we have the original question, and that top row is all the same information you've seen before. The bottom row, that first bottom left number is actually the identical number at the top right. It's the all-inclusive number again. We just brought it down so you could see it side by side. The average of everything before costs, and then where the committee landed with this question, with cost being a consideration. Okay? So, closing the street and building, we didn't put a target number to that because it's essentially built off of all the other options that we put together. Still strong support to say close the street, build the link. That was at a 1.64 of the committee members. Consolidating the media centers into one centralized room. And again, I say anything that's green, that's a 2.5 average or better. So 2.5 towards a 1 means you've got really good support within your committee. Anything between a 2.5 and a 3.5, we highlighted as yellow. And then anything above a 3.5 is that orange or red color, saying that that's really something that we should discount and move on from. Consolidating the media centers, 2.07 average still. Constructing 2 new pre-K classrooms, so that was having that addition to the north is where we previously shown that, along with potentially daycare. I was at a 2.36. Relocating kindergarten classrooms to the existing media center, so this is not building new, but renovating within the walls of the existing elementary. That was also a 2.36. Creating 2 larger pre-K classrooms by renovating the multi-purpose room. So this would be, instead of building new construction, taking the space that would be vacated here and potentially a kitchen and moving pre-K into this space, and we'll talk through what that looks like in a plan. That was a 3.07, so not as strong a support, but still worth considering. And there's a lot of these things too that kind of snowball, right? We can't do that one unless you move the kitchen out. So you'll see that even if we have a lot of strong support for doing one step, there's a second piece that follows behind that logically in a floor plan. Constructing the daycare, we threw in a square footage for one big daycare classroom. Threw in a cost. That one now pushed to being a 3.5. So I would say as a committee, there's less support now with cost as a factor than there was at the start. Page 4, replace the existing kitchen with a new kitchen. That's right on the bubble, 2.5, right? So move this kitchen out, build a new kitchen. The other piece you'll see with that, we have a cost to do the kitchen, and we have an allowance in there to say, we assume a good number of your equipment pieces that are here can move, but if we're going to evaluate doing a new kitchen, there might be a couple new pieces of equipment here and there. So we're just building in an allowance. These are just plug numbers to give you an idea and a range. As we further refine this, we'll further refine our directives to Houseman as far as what we want them to price. So those numbers still may change. And what you'll end up with is we'll change from individual line items to more of a cost, comprehensive cost that looks at a plan. So some of these numbers, and we have them averaged up for you or added together. I'll give you those numbers when I'm through this. But when you consider it as a whole project, there's things that maybe get shared across things. So like if we're doing a gym and a commons, or a gym and concession stand, but some of that overlaps with the moving of the kitchen and a new lunchroom space, right? There's ways we can manipulate the square feet to continue to bring some of those numbers back down, okay? But the kitchen was 2.5 right on the bubble. Providing the new commons area lunchroom space, that was a little stronger. That was 2.21 to get that commons area. Okay, number 5, relocate the elementary music and expand special ed. So that's renovating the spaces for special ed here and pulling music out. That went up a little bit from last time, but still strong support, 1.86. Provide the parking lot, that went up again a little bit, but still below 2.5, so 2.43 now. Number 6, keep and renovate the 1920s. If you really read deep into this, you'll see that the cost to keep and renovate that building was about the same as replacement costs. So I'm not surprised to see that that one fell off a cliff and it's almost right at a 5. Very few people that didn't rate that a 5. Demolish the 1920s and obviously replace it with a similar amount of spaces, the wrestling and classrooms, we're at 1.5. So that's a logical one where you can say, strong support, everybody feels that building has lived its life, and we need to find a way to tear that down and replace it. Relocating the van storage, I'm not surprised to see this one move up based on our discussions and some of the plan options we went through. I think that's a result of your small group discussions to say it makes more sense to get some of these spaces and just relocate that piece. Page 8, provide the new open commons area. So again, this could double up with the commons area for a kitchen, but as a standalone item without a kitchen, it's still a 2.43. Providing a new fitness area, this one's interesting because the costs are identical. Your only change is, do you build a fitness center that's open to the public, or do you build a fitness center that's just for the school? And when you say allow the public in, you're at a 4, and when you say just make it for the school, you're at a 2.21. So not a lot of support here for people saying make this open to the public, which is fine, but that's just something for you to see. There's no cost difference between them. We're still talking about a fitness space either way. Okay, construct a new full-size competition gym along with associated concessions and restrooms. 2.92, a little higher than previously when we had no cost as a factor. On the backside, construct a new practice gym with limited seating capacity. That's a new one. We had never talked about doing just a practice gym, but it is a smaller area. I came in at a 4, so not as much support to say even consider a practice gym. Page 11, consolidate the number of entry and exit points. by creating a new single K-12 main entrance, a little higher before than when we didn't have cost, but you're still below a 2, 1.93. Construct 2 additional junior high or guest locker rooms. Went up a little bit. Prior to adding in cost, you were at 2.29 as a committee. Now you're at 2.57, so you just kind of tipped into that yellow range. Page 12, construct a new centralized art room for both high school and elementary, but leave the old art classroom for pottery. You were at a 2.04 the first time around. You're now at 2.5, so just right on the bubble there. Or provide a new centralized art classroom that's large enough to accommodate pottery, and then renovate the old art room to turn it into just a standard classroom space. That one's a little higher, 2.86. That's a new question. We hadn't asked it that way previously. But there's more support in this survey right now to say leave pottery where it is. Okay, page 13, construct a new accessible classroom space for band and vocal music, as well as spaces for the storage and practice rooms. Prior cost, you were at 1.58. With cost, still 1.79. So still pretty strong support for that. Construct new shop classroom spaces for career and technical educations, wood, welding, CAD classrooms, small engines, diesel, and automotive tech that are attached to the main high school facility. You were at a 1.54 prior to having costs, and now with costs, you've actually gone down. So even more support to say, let's consolidate and get one facility. Or renovate the existing wood shop and classroom in their current locations, renovate welding in its current locations. They would remain separate, but students would still walk back and forth. That one dropped. You were at a 3.14 prior cost, now you're at a 4.43. Construct new FCS classrooms in conjunction with construction of a consolidated shop area, so creating that CTE wing. That's a new question too. We hadn't had that before our discussion 2 weeks ago. Pretty good support, 2.57. It's right on the bubble, I would say. But if you consider that in conjunction with the next one, where we said, let's just renovate it where it is today, not as much support for that. So if we're going to spend money there, I would tell you the consensus for the survey right now is, if you're going to spend the money, move it closer to the CTE wing. Don't just renovate the room in place. Renovating the Tartan gym to enhance the performing arts aspect, but still maintain the gym floor in there so that it's still a practice space. Prior to having costs, 2.38. With costs, it actually went down 1.64. So, and again, that would be just as we said in here. You're talking lighting, sound systems, and just some general acoustic treatments, so not huge. We're not making it a theater, but you're making it a little better than what it is today so that the performances have good sound and lighting and a little better acoustics. Okay. Page 16, provide a new corridor connection to the east side of the current gym by relocating the fitness rooms so that kids don't have to walk through the gym. Prior to some costs, we had a 2.33 as a committee. Once we added costs in, it went down 2.07, so more support now that costs have been added in. Convert the existing high school media center into 2 new classrooms, which still requires the relocation of the media center. Originally at 2.04, it's gone up a little bit, now we're at 2.5. Still pretty close to what the average has been. Okay, page 17. Maintain new construction spaces as single story, no second floor. That averaged out this time around at a 2.57, so it actually came down a little bit, but it's not as good when we say utilize multi-story construction. And really, we didn't have a true cost. This one's a little nebulous because you really got to wait till you get to the floor plan. So we gave you kind of the cost per square foot, and new construction with multi-level averages out roughly $10 to $15 square foot better to go multi-story. You were at a 2.25 originally, now it's a 2.46, but still a better cost, or a better number with the cost added in. Provide an elevator and associated equipment room if you build a multi-story addition. This one's on the bubble again. This was a new question we've never asked before, but we give you the prices, 2.64. Renovate the existing science classrooms in their current location, providing new millwork, plumbing, ventilations, and exterior windows. That was a 1.66. It's moved up to a 2.57. for the science classrooms. You go to the next one, construct new science classrooms and storage prep as part of the new classroom wing. Slightly better, not by much, but it moves into the green, 2.43. And then these last couple of ones are new as well. I added this in here because they are things that we're going to be required to do either way, but I want you to start thinking about there's a cost associated with them as well. There's a few of them where for new construction, those costs should already be baked in to the cost per square foot. So that's why I strip it down to just say for fire suppression, it's just, we already have fire suppression here in the elementary, so I don't need it in this space. We'll have to do some modifications if we turn this into classrooms. But for the high school side, it's that associated square footage. Strong support there either way for the cost. That's a 1.5. And the other side is getting the whole building to one single fire alarm. If we're going to make one continuous building, we need the fire alarm system to be consistent throughout. So we average that cost in as well. But again, I made the assumption from Houseman's numbers that in the new construction side, you'd already have that. So we're just talking about the areas for elementary and high school, 1.57. Those are the updated numbers, okay? Everybody has copies of those. You can refer to those as you're looking and having your small group discussions. Now I'm going to take you through, you should have an option A and an option B on your table. The driving factors and the things that change between option A and option B. First thing you'll notice in both plans, we took off the addition to the north. Doesn't mean we couldn't put it back based on the pre-K wanting a slightly higher average of building new. But these plans show kindergarten and pre-K taking the space of the media center and this multi-purpose room and kitchen. It would also create essentially, just like when we added the pre-K to the north, you had kind of a unique pickup and drop off. You could still achieve that on this side, but instead of having kitchen deliveries here, you would have essentially a pre-K entrance coming off this backside. So we modify the parking lot slightly to make that function. And then the special education renovations on the opposite side of the corridor. We still have the media center kind of splitting between some of the elementary classrooms. We have a competition gym that's kind of dead center still. We did flip, no we didn't flip in this one. Your admin and your kitchen are now to the west. So your main entrance in this one is still on the west side. You have an entrance that would be more of your athletics entrance for the competition gym facing east. Art, band, vocal music on a lower level here, facing that parking lot. The challenge with a gym, if we include a gym in either option, is where these existing corridors run. And if you look at it from a school standpoint, where you want to have that traffic flow, it's really hard to take that gym and interrupt the flow of that corridor, especially the one on the west side. It's a little easier to interrupt the flow on the east side. So that's why you'll see the difference between these two. We're really trying to honor that corridor space. I think if you talk to the staff and the teachers, they would tell you that's a logical thing that they would like to see because it makes monitoring students during passing times a lot easier if there aren't a lot of corners and hidden corridors as you go around portions of the building. So that's why in this one, with that competition gym center, it pushes some of these other elements to the sides. You share a common space for the kitchen. You have kitchen and concessions that could go here. And then the other consolidation is instead of having the pre-K and all those elements, we try to get to one zone here and one zone here. What you're seeing for this connector link, to try to minimize the number of staircases we need, but not build over the top of existing construction where we know the footings probably weren't designed to just put more space over the top of your existing locker rooms. We show this connector, and you can see that a little bit in these, on the second page, what's option A, what those massings would look like. The challenge in this plan with having the gym in the middle, it splits those second floor spaces where you could have it above the link in the street, where we're either building some kind of link as we show here, or we're trying to come over the corridor on the west side of the gym to link two sides of some elements there. But for this one then, back to the first floor, where we had the 1920s building, where we had the wood shop, where we had band and vocal music, we create one new construction element here where we have the JV locker rooms, we have a fitness space, we moved FCS over to this side, and then we have the combined shop, ag space, maker space here as well. Moving to the second floor where you see the dashed lines on both of these, so on the east side of the gym or the top side of the plan, that's where this second floor plan is. So you can kind of see where the staircases go. We've got 3 stairs here. We would probably need 3 based on travel distances and egress components, or even just ease of movement for students. We do show an elevator in this plan over on the classroom side. One of the trade-offs in this plan, we've really run out of room trying to keep that building as square and clean as we can. We only get 3 mats. We don't have 4 mats in this plan. But you have wrestling upstairs, you have 6 replacement classrooms upstairs, and then we do not build over the top of the shop because that's likely the taller element. You can see how the shop is the same height as the classroom addition, so it's one mass on the second floor, but you have a taller space for your shop, especially for some of the systems that you would have in there between welding or automotive lifts, things like that. We would want some of that extra height in that space. That's plan A. Plan B, again, nothing on the far north end, so we don't build a separate pre-K addition. We do bring kindergarten and pre-K back in again. Nothing here really changes. We don't do media center in this space now. We kind of simplify this element. We do flip now in this plan and put your main entrance towards the parking lot side. So your new main entrance faces east. You've got the path through the parking lot, potential bus routes. We still have a kitchen, and you could have, whether the food service comes through this bus route drop-off lane as well and comes through the front door, or you could provide a side entrance where you have kitchen storage since it's on an exterior wall. But we'd have your new admin spaces. We'd have a new media center space that faces the exterior to the east. We'd have kitchen and serving and concessions. Again, a commons area that would function as your lunchroom for both high school and elementary, right in the middle. And it could also function as that commons area for a competition gym that is now on the west side. We keep all of the second floor space in this one over the length. You can see that plan here. We'd have a single story space, again, where the 1920s construction was. We'd still have a taller volume for the shop, so not a lot different here other than we just don't have a second floor built above these elements. I think we're still okay with our kitchen, even with where we would want hoods and some of that equipment and we would want some exhaust. We would not have a second floor over that entire space. We would just need to be kind of cautious of what we did with some windows out of those classroom spaces. If you think about these classrooms here, your kitchen roof would be down below. So admin, kitchen, commons area. But you do get 4 wrestling mats, and whether that gets subdivided, into 2 spaces, you could do that here. We'd have 2 staircases. You'd have an opportunity for an elevator. What this doesn't do, if you look at the surveys, it doesn't take science and move it up here. If we wanted to pull science is going to be slightly bigger than these standard, just whether this would be a social studies or a math or an English. Science with its footprint typically is 30 by 40, which is 1,200 square feet versus 800 to 900 square feet for classroom spaces like this. Not to say we couldn't do it. If that's something your group wants to discuss and say, yeah, we want science. But again, keep in mind, if we put science up here, you probably are keeping the elevator too, because now science is a space that's a specific lab that's on a second floor where it's harder to make that accommodation and say science is on the first floor. So, if you had a social studies class and a student that couldn't get upstairs, you could have social studies swap that teacher to a lower level floor and make that accommodation. Okay? And again, this is kind of our 3D view where you can see the second floor space. new gym space, new shop. The orange areas are that new construction. And we tried to label for you so you can tell, these are the same buildings, they're just looking from opposite directions. So on one, you're looking towards the shop, you're looking where the old 1920s was on this side. On the other one, we flipped it, and now you're looking from the elementary building side, but it's the same plan, just looking at it from two different directions. Okay? Now that I've talked for a whole heck of a while, we're going to do the same thing we did last time. I want you to talk in your small groups. We'll bring around some paper for your groups if you want to keep notes as far as the comments, ideas, things that you as a small group discuss. The goal is, again, let's look at these two sets of plans. Let's take the information that's in the survey and let's start pulling this ideally to where you can say it's one plan going forward. Here's the best of both worlds if I need to consider it, but I just need your feedback, just like last time. We went from 4 to 2 from the last meeting, now I want to go from 2 to 1 by our next meeting. That would then allow John and his good team to now, instead of having individualized line items, to start looking at it as a holistic budget, okay? Last thing I'll tell you. Sawyer put some of these numbers together for me, just because I know you're curious. Now, I would caution you, don't take this as gospel as far as what the actual numbers would be, because again, it will fluctuate depending on how we piece these buildings together. But if you took all of the green, everything in the survey now with cost, that landed at a 2.5 or less, the low and the high, you're at $21,976,000 on the low end, up to $25,416,000 on the high end. If you took all the yellow, just the yellow, that's $11,463,000 on the low end, $12,338,000 on the high end. If you took all the yellow and all the green and put them together, you'd range somewhere between $33,439,000 to $37,650,000. So, things to consider, right? And ideally, we've also slated our next meeting for Tobin to come back and start talking as we start to get to a true number and say, okay, what is it, 25 million? Okay, Tobin, plug that into your calculator, give us the averages, what happens, is it 20 year, 25, 30, what does that do to the levy? We'll start hitting the fiscal background more next time as well. So, it's a process, right? We'll get there, but today we want to get from 2 down to 1. That's your charge. I'll continue to walk. If you have cost estimate questions, I'll probably defer that to John. We'll call him over if you have specific questions about why some of the costs landed where they did. Again, that's not construction costs, that's total project costs. So design fees, surveys, soil borings, everything else that's not just the cost of the build, that's all inclusive. So when we say that would be the bond number, demolition, everything, that's all in numbers, right? And you'll see those as we go farther. They do a nice job of breaking out, here's construction cost, here's the soft costs. They'll have contingencies in there. You can always load in an owner's contingency. You can have some contingency, just like we did in the question for kitchen equipment. That can be a discussion point for the group to say, well, don't plan on buying new equipment. We know our kitchen now works fine. Just plan on the bare minimum if we're going to do new kitchens, right? So there's still ways to massage those numbers as we get closer to the end of this process. Okay? Let's bring some sheets around. Go ahead and start your discussions. We'll give you a sheet of paper. And what time is it? If we go, 30, 45 minutes, and then we'll start sharing out, just like last night. If you want to hang these straight, remember the sticky part is on one of the short ends at the top. So just orient yourself so we can stick it
bet it's gonna be locked. I just got a feeling.
Mr. Cashmeyer needs to read the
Jeff's therapy making money though.
Because it was there, right? So yeah, that means something, right? Yeah, I don't think
still just trying to get things on plan.
Oh, right.
This whole thing needs to work over here because of the traffic. It's nothing here. This isn't
Which, I mean, I feel like from what we were,
I just,
now it's double their space.
for me, this is self-restraining.
I guess it's way bigger than what was in the last plan. We had no.
I don't make decisions based upon there's no part of that. I mean, if we just cut out the water mains. It's
probably relocating the greenhouses here now because they got last week.
Like where it is now.
My biggest thing, I love having the
It's not here yet.
that is my, I can utilize myself better. I do not like process myself like I should, because I have to be here, and if my parents speaking, I have to check out.
Because we're not getting out to the same.
Or it's part of the act.
Yeah, it's part of my activity.
And the dirt, and then
And then
no top.
add.
And it's not even so much what we
I think that's
classes, it's where they're coming over to teachers.
Just like you have a classroom.
When I have kids come in, right now they're coming at the end of the day to get a day by themselves, and they have to travel halfway through their school. It's just easier for high schoolers to
What I
travel.
we're not gonna deal with that.
That's kind of what they were saying, that would be better, yes, that would at least be.
Places that are, we have to run full time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know around.
That's all we do.
They're just boxes. If this door, filling in some. Our goal is to
What's involved in the same
To me, I feel like that's not gonna be enough space for like, because I personally think trains are like,
And I would just have one place that, I just like, I don't feel like. I know this is like,
Yeah, at the same time.
For banding, you said
Yeah, and
I can answer. I was talking, I usually something nice to that too.
I have a lot of junk, I get it. That part.
Just because they got features right now, let's basically it could be that's what he said.
The space that I need just Personally, I think you just simply nothing, that's just fine. But if you just would, you know, you're just trying to
That's exactly what I think.
I know the shape of one.
So that would likely include the makerspace, the active. Yeah.
I like my own space.
I haven't seen it since I was.
Don't get into the comments. I need you to figure out those types of spaces. I'm just trying to get you a box. I could rush you to questions.
Is that
Because it's combined.
I don't know what I don't know.
You're still bringing probably separate sides.
When I started using those chairs in the closet, and we need a place for the tip to set, we need a place to grind those projects at the kids. You know, but if you're, like you said, if you're doing,
This was your teacher.
if this is the less shop space, then I can't, I'm not gonna be able to grind it, you know, that's, that kind of stuff has to happen. It's not.
That's gonna be what happens if we get and you're saying, this is still too expensive space. If you get to a point that this is
That's what we were talking about. So if this would pass, this would here, closer to that makes a lot of sense to me, because then you just create a space. I don't know how that works. this design.
That's where you're at. I would have come out, and if I had
It's the same as we're looking at right now.
Yep, that's exactly right.
It still works. Is it
Whether it's near the shop, whether it's by the residence. You can make an accommodation, let's say, I need the same function from that second person.
And the station they're gonna put in.
shop level exhaust fans?
That's the way they want it, right? Yes, we still got parking. We still have parking on Maple Street and down the mansion. We still need some. We may have this side. This is a tough spot for the gym. Big cars here.
We have to. That says football field, ball field. That's a city. Turn on Maple, get stuck right here. To try to get the ball field. You're 100% right. Cemetery Road is much better than ball Yes, high school said we want to move to SCS. Because we can do some great level 2 teaching, life skills teaching in the current SCS.
So what happens if I do that? If you go after
bad, I'm sorry. That's Mrs. But I will tell you this, and that's shown by Mrs. Ham and Mr. Ellis. So this classroom is here, and that's business. That's a little bit. They're all over here. We don't need full size. We would likely have like rotating TL section of this. That's what this is.
I don't think you ever have like a I'm just saying within. Yes, I think so. Yeah. But yeah, that's not, I wouldn't even think,
So she probably creates ag class partition. Very likely. Best office in the
But that one doesn't accommodate the format, right?
This gets pinched. And this is factory. That's existing. Anything that we continue making
I don't know if there's a legality that says we can't go, that our don't have second. I know I like it as this is going to be just north of touch.
This
Seemed like a good idea. Well, but it's built for that. It can be fat.
I think it should be fair. That's
That's a secondary door. It'll get used. We'll be happy to have it.
the north side park.
Yeah. To add Jim. Yep, okay. Keep sticking. And sorry, I was doing
There's an expense, right? I'd rather, if you're a budgetary standpoint, I'd rather consolidate all of this into one single form.
I still think
That's my question is, I mean, the way to eliminate this is to put stairs in the not if the only thing
It's just
because so this line, this line right here is that line right there.
unless you're going something else.
It'll all be pretty fast. Pretty fast.
You thought we definitely need to do something about this. Right? Like, she's a long way to get that. Yeah,
Now here's the other thing. So here's why we do not need to it's a competition to expenses. You can't build everything else around it as easily as you can say, get the gym off for that. I'm hearing a lot of things. There's a couple of pieces that each table has. Here's my, I heard a lot of times. As a society, everybody's asking, I don't care what all this
I see it as like, we have like, that kind of deal.
No, I think it's not possible.
Not necessarily, you know, let's say you have some or 3D printers right now are 3D printers. Which I don't know if that's should be or not. That's
get your sheets kind of finalized with your thoughts, and I'm going to start sharing out in the next 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes. You're taking a bubble load, you're still coming down. Depending on which way the roots go,
They did. So I wouldn't meet their bus like going back to
I think we get we need to go out on the outside. They actually literally go out like walk houses yeah, like that's not fair.
Our design process, it isn't just, here's a plan and you're done. I just. What did you last minute? That's what drove everybody's opinion of that line.
Semis come in.
Let's build that. I like that.
I gotta start by the book, but all of these. Okay, let's start sharing. Again, our goal was to try to get good feedback so that Sawyer and I and the team can hopefully walk away with an idea of how do we get this down to one. So I'm just going to run because this table is closest. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And if the groups would share from front to back, have a spokesperson, whoever wants to talk to your group, and share out for us some thoughts. I get in trouble. Yep.
Okay. Plan A. What concerns we had with is the location of the gym. Sorry, my bad. Location of the gym, that's more centralized. Yeah, so it's a more centralized location. So we thought that worked well because it was close proximity to the gym and multi-events and stuff. It worked well that way. Locker rooms, be real close to that. Media center, it's closer to the elementary. Again, it's kind of centrally located in the building, so we like that as well. Downsides, negatives. Only 3 mats are showing on that plan. Just through conversations, didn't know how 3 mats would work with boys and girls wrestling, and then you have junior high boys and girls. It's almost too big for one and too small for the alternative. Admin location, that was kind of a non-starter for us. We had talked about moving admin closer to the parking. In this plan, it has them on the west end. Just how is that going to work with everyone's going to be encouraged to park there and walk through the building? And so admin wouldn't be able to see who's coming through that door except for some cameras. Makerspace just seems awkward. And both drawings had the same makerspace, but it looked more like a commons area, and then just trying to figure out how's that space going to get used. We mentioned like makerspace, we have like 3D printers and such, but you don't let those out in the open. So, but again, that can just work out. Plan B. Okay, this is the one with the gym on this end, on the west end. It does allow for 4 mats, and so we saw the opportunity now you could put a false wall in there, or a retractable wall, and then you would have 2 full mats for practice. One, did not like the idea of that gym being so far over there because it does have a pretty good distance to the locker rooms. If we maintain our current locker rooms,
At halftime or during sporting events, kids are gonna have to walk through the concession area into the locker rooms. But one advantage of it is, if a gym expansion is something that we want to consider at another time, it certainly allows us to just add, we could do another bond, or we could add it as another project. Whereas in A, it's an integral part of the building, and you can't just add it at a later time. We liked how the admin offices were next to the main parking lot, so that was a great advantage. Negatives, I mentioned the gym was far from the locker rooms. Media center location, it wasn't as centralized, it's a little farther off, but it's so hard to gauge distance when you're just looking at a plan, so they may be so that's what we had.
Thank you, group. Let's go to the second table.
Am I talking?
You were gonna let anybody else.
We looked at the two, the first thing was, the whole idea started because we had to have bigger wrestling area. Wasn't that? Sort of, kind of. And then we could bring education. But it started out with the mats. So the first thing has to be B because they only have 3. The media placement versus the kitchen location, or the media person would like to have them switched around, is to be evaluated. Competition gym now versus maybe do it in 25 years. Cost in 25 years is going to be up. Consideration of what that is. If you're going to do it, you must. If you're going to do it, it should be a competition one, not a practice one. We'd like to have some layout in the elementary more clearly defined, like where the principal is going to be, the nurse's office. The nurse's office should have a bathroom and a sink and a shower. And a shower would be nice. And a bed. More than a closet. Yes. So the concentration on education, we left the CTE wing. I wonder about having girls in between 2 boys things, but I think they can handle it. Shop area needs to be bigger and more detailed to help Mr. Commit, because he doesn't think his laser machine going. So it looks bigger, as our committee said, it looks bigger than our gym now, which is that better, Mr. Commit?
Yeah, I was having a hard time seeing it. It gets bigger. We wrote some stuff on there too, so I don't want to take your.
I will let you talk. Shop area needs to be bigger and more detailed though. And how big does the maker space really need to be? That was to be evaluated too. The sick room, nurse's station we talked about, also having the teacher's lounge. I'm calling that the old kitchen. If the other kitchen goes over there, that area becomes the old kitchen. And then the elevator, we had a lot of discussion about that elevator. For $250,000, is it mandatory? Is it needed? Could you work around it? What are the odds? We didn't come to a conclusion. That's up to you. Better flow for student traffic in B, and we want a janitor workstation storage so you don't have to go so far to get your buckets and water and all that. Questions?
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I'm going to have some comments when we get through there. Let's have the third table.
All right, you guys jump in if I miss something, all right? All right, you guys jump in, because I didn't hear all of it, but, all right, honestly, we didn't even really talk about A because we thought B was one better option. So, we just saw a lot of things in A we just didn't like. So we really focused on B. First, we did I think you guys said it too, we could add a gym later if that's something that's gonna, that's an easy way to add it. And we could improve the acoustics in the other gym, kind of later as a general thing. The media center, we talked about closer to the existing elementary, so we kind of looked at that too, the layout of that part, if we want to kind of move that around a little bit. We didn't know why the fitness center had to be that big. I guess we thought about maybe making it a little smaller, kind of saving some space there, adding a classroom or something there if we need to, or changing those locker rooms to the fitness center. I think you guys mentioned it too, a janitorial space somewhere, right? Because it's not really defined anywhere. We thought the maker space should be its own classroom. We didn't really like it open as a commons room. We thought kids could just come in and out, right? It was kind of since you did, you have stuff in here. So, we talked about this too, doing the acoustics and stuff like that. These are things we could maybe add later if we need to cut costs now. The performance arts we could do is like a general budget thing, kind of doing stages, like do lights one year, acoustics one year, things like that. And also, if we needed to cut some costs, we could just do like a gravel parking spot right now, and then we could cement it later too. Again, kind of a general budget thing. Oh, we wanted to maintain the elementary admin where it is. Like keep her close to the elementary rooms. Concessions on the west side of the kitchen, I think we just talked about bringing them closer to the gym, right? Like so you don't have to go, just keeping that on that side of the kitchen. We did think the art room all together, which I think it is in B, right? The kiln is in there, so we don't have like two separate classrooms to go to. And then I think we talked about that too. The locker rooms being smaller, we kind of talked about both of those being smaller. Did I miss anything?
Well, we talked about, we asked Darren too, about putting Darren in the new admin, and putting Kyle in the superintendent's offices.
Switching
Because
those
if
areas.
you look at B, if you put Kyle over there, there's no high school classes over there, so he's not buying high schoolers.
Yeah,
All
so just
classrooms
switching
on
those
their side.
entries. Instead of him having it being in the middle and then have Dr. Arnold's in the middle.
Yeah, so you have Kyle way on the south side.
All right, anything else?
Okay, thank you. Let's have the last table. Share out your thoughts.
I don't know all of these. I know that the media center, they liked that a little better because it wasn't as far, but I know the music department liked Plan B better. I think. You know, we talked, obviously I talked a lot about the shop. And I've got, have a lot of questions. I appreciate somebody pointing out, because seeing it on paper doesn't look. I have concerns about welding and woods together, but they're telling me that can still be separated in that area. I know for me, I need space. I know we're not going to have that kind of space, but I need space to be able to continue to do what we do. When we do plasma cutting, it's not just space for the table, but the kids have to be able to spread out, to be able to do their grinding and that kind of stuff. It really, if we're putting in brand new welding booths, you don't want to be grinding in those welding booths. You need separate space for that. The ag products processing lab that we built and we're doing, we're going to have to create space for that in that plan, because that needs to not be in the shop because it's dirty. One of the things we looked at was, and I'll be honest, when I looked at before the meeting, I looked at this, why in the world do I need that big of a locker just so the kids can change for welding? I realize it now that that's not what that was for. I'm going, there's no way we need that much space. It's just a place to change clothes. But it doesn't make sense to have the locker rooms in the CTE area. One of the things that, I don't know if you brought it up, or if I do, the group when we were talking about the possibility of taking those two locker rooms and putting them up above the fitness area, because there's nothing above it right now. Putting that, and then that would create some of that extra space for some of those other programs that maybe haven't been talked about. And then obviously the other one is a place to put the greenhouse. I don't think you're going to move the existing one. It's just not. I don't think you could. So putting something in there and where that could go, whether that's on the south side of the building, whether it's on, you hide it. If you put it on the east side of the building, you cut a lot of sunlight for growing. So just questions, as well as a place to store wood material and metal material. Getting space that's accessible to get that in and get it stored and then be able to get to it and get where it needs to be. And then probably look at that maker space. Probably needs to be where we would put like CAD computers in the CAD classroom that can be shared then with the computers that I use for plasma table. That could be in there. But obviously if we've got that I wouldn't want that out in the middle of just a hallway. That would have to be, so that I would think that would change, but that's, could get, changed. Making sure that, like at the food processing lab, making sure we've got a place that we can get dishes clean, store product and that kind of stuff, so. What did I miss?
I think that's the gist.
You got it there.
Okay. Generally, my observations after hearing all of you share things out, there's definitely things in option B that tend to work better, but it's not perfect yet. So if I'm going to take this feedback and come back to you in 2 weeks and try to have something that Houseman can price, I'm probably going to start from here, right? Everybody talked about distance to locker rooms. Putting them over here doesn't make sense if the gym is down here. So we need locker rooms closer to the gym. There's a challenge with trying to keep the gym to the east side architecturally that's going to be hard to solve here and still keep the admin entrance to this side. So me as the architect, I'm going to tell you this probably works better, even though some of you think that might be too far a walk. But if I can get locker rooms to this side, that's better. We actually had the media center where the kitchen was and the kitchen where the media center was, where we had a commons area by the kitchen, which didn't leave you a commons area by the gym. So that was one of the things as we worked through the process. We flip-flop media center and kitchen, so the kitchen could still be on an outside wall, but be closer to the gym in this plan, so you can share the commons and keep concessions closer. Otherwise, if kitchen's up here and gym's over here, right? So you see, like, there can be a comment that the media center's too far, but the alternative is, if I'm flip-flopping spaces, well, which is the lesser of two evils, right? The fact that I walk a little farther to the media center, but I have a shared commons that can work whether it's an athletic event or lunchtime, to me, that makes a little more sense to share those spaces.
I just want to say, as I told them, we put a fitness center in this plan. Why do we care how far they have to go?
And they're walking now. That's the flip side. Everybody who's in this building is coming all the way over here to art. So we're trying to make all of that short, right? So it's not perfect, but we're trying to make it better. That's always my goal. And I'm trying to solve the worst of things to the best of our ability, but maybe some of those things like art, okay, it doesn't get all the way in here in the elementary side, or media center, or band, right? Band currently had 2 spots, but we're consolidating you into one zone so that everybody else is coming to you instead of you going back and forth, right? Didn't hear a lot of comments about the interior renovations other than show us more detail. Tell us where the principal is, tell us where the nurse is, show some more of the janitor stuff. I would tell you at this stage of the game, that's getting a little bit into the weeds. We will get there. I agree. And as a result, I'm going to work towards showing you that in the next plan, right? These 2 plans weren't ready for that level of detail. I can tell you guys are ready. It'll help them price things if I start showing that level of specificity. It will help with the shop if I start I had some subdivisions in previous plans. We wiped those back out to just get the blocks to move around. So we'll start putting that level of detail back so that you can react to it and say, okay, yeah, I see now I have a space for food science and ag and welding and woods, but maybe I want to flip these 2. Once you have that level of detail, we can continue to refine it. The big picture goal is I need to get to a point where I have a zone and we can say, from a budgeting standpoint, that's the zone. And anything else we do, because I can guarantee you guys are going to try to shrink the budget, not grow it at this stage. I need to make things work within these envelopes. I think personally I'm as big as I want to get, and anything further we refine is probably going to start tightening things up. Like the fitness, right? Why does fitness have to be so big? It doesn't. It doesn't have to be that big. We can take that feedback and show you a plan that pulls it back closer to what you have today, especially knowing that everybody here is generally in agreement that we don't need to open it to the public. It's for the students, it's for the staff, leave it at that. So we can pull that down. I mean, you could also have a plan where the fitness shrink, maybe the fitness goes upstairs and the locker rooms move, right? We can look at those options. But I'm generally getting, based on your comments here, there's a lot of good things in this plan. We might still not be happy about how far you gotta go from the main entrance or the parking to this. But on the flip side, if this becomes a real big sticking point on, do we do it now or do we do it later? It's a lot easier to do it now or do it later in Plan B than it is in Plan A. And I know those of you who love the gym are gonna squeal that, by God, do that so that we can't take it out. We can continue to have those discussions. It's not my choice, it's your choice. I'm just here to tell you the goods and the bads, right? The pros and the cons. And I think some of you see that as you have these small group discussions of, hey, I solved this problem, but I caused this other problem. That's the whole point of this process. We've got to work as a group to try to find the best solutions where we can check off the most challenges as we can, but certain things, whether it's an elevator, whether it's location of locker rooms, we're going to continue to refine. Okay? So, did I miss anything? Aaron, what did I miss? School board members, what did I miss?
Can you make the shop and stuff, why didn't you go further south to cover the whole building?
We could.
Usually if you're gonna build, usually use all the spaces in the way.
And I may need to do a little bit of that when we start talking truly what are all the interior components. If it's 3D print shops, if it's the CAD labs, if it's the wood side, the welding side, the automotive, it might get a little bigger. It might push farther south.
We've got the space. For where the 1920 building is, we've got both south and east.
So I'm saying, just we'll use it all, because
Yeah.
you're not gonna put nothing else there.
Yeah.
Honestly,
we
I
don't
thought-
need that slope
Yeah.
up that we have right now, have stairs up to 20 on the south and slope up to 20 from the east. We don't need that slope or those stairs necessarily. We could use that space, but every square foot.
I thought some of the price tag in the survey for CTE would push that number higher, if you will, closer to a 5. It didn't. Went the other way. I think there's strong consensus in this committee that ag's important. The ag shop, the welding, the woods, the trades, that needs to be a key component of anything we do. So if it has to grow a little bit, and I shrink fitness, there's part of my trade-off, right? It's where do you want to allocate the investment? Not just in this plan, but for the next 25 plus years, right? 'Cause that's the goal. I always tell people, bonds are a little bit generational, right? So you're doing this for the kids you have now, they might not take another bite at this apple until their parents and or grandparents.
So I guess a thought I had is, we talk about the CTE wing. I like the way it sounds, but I think we need to do a better job of defining what a CTE wing is. Because like current plans, it's just a replication of what we currently have, except the makerspace. You know, like that's the only new thing in there. So it's our selling point. Hey, we got a CTE wing because now we have a makerspace. So I think we need to define better like what that space is, how it should be used. Because that'll tell you space, that'll tell you kind of layouts and such. But if we're going to sell it, you know, it's a CTE wing, then I think we just need to find it.
If he breaks it down, that will make sense.
What's that?
You're asking what the curriculum is going to
Well, you get in the weeds a little bit. I mean, it's like, hey, we're doing this because of this, and this is going to get us to there, and then that kind of
be.
dictates.
But I mean, that's essentially what you're asking, right? What additional
A
classes?
little
are
bit,
they
a
gonna
little
be?
bit, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I feel you're going to add something. You're adding
What more
something.
can we offer? What more skilled trade experiences can we offer our kids? It also, it makes sense to bring those together rather than we do this skilled trade here and this, because right now we're in a few different spaces. Bringing them together matters, especially if we can share some makerspace. Needs to be identified and defined quite a bit, I think. But yes, there's definitely strong support for it. If we can clarify and bring into greater focus what experiences will our kids have and how can we bring some of those curriculum areas together, it's even, I think, even an easier selling point.
Just like you told me, hey, show me where some of the janitor spaces go, show me where the principal goes. I'm going to show you the spaces that will subdivide the area that we've allocated to CTE.
On the CTE wing, is your plan is to take that hill and knock it all the way down to street level and build
got to that level of discussion. Now, if you see, I've got garage doors that face east, so ideally, yeah, I can't jump 3 feet. So there would have to be some grading, and that's something that housemen will have to take into consideration. Yeah, maybe there's a retaining wall that comes off it, and we do bring that level down a little bit. We might have to deal with some internal ramps if CTE wants to be a little lower to work with the street. That's an option. Or it could be at level, at ground level where it is, but you've got to have enough distance from the street. And there's a certain slope where he's going to tell me, don't do that to me, you need to bring me down so that if I'm backing a trailer in, right?
The 1920 gym also goes down 8 feet. So when that gym is gone, you go up a slope and then you're down 8 to 10 feet more. I mean, so yes, there's a hole, there will be a hole there. So to level that all
Not
out.
when we're done though.
Yeah.
Swimming pool.
Yeah. No. That'll be at the coffee shop tomorrow. We've got also on the agenda Q&A with patrons. The board thought it would be wise to make sure we give our people who aren't on the committee an opportunity to attend and observe the committee at work, and then ask any questions of committee members, plans, board members. So Joe, if there's anybody that has any contributions.
Well, I'm more curious, when you do your CTE in the future, are you going to be able to bring teachers here when our teachers retire? Because there's so few out there.
So having a space that's attractive to prospective new teachers?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it took us 2 years to hire a shop teacher, and I will tell you, a wood shop teacher, that I believe the first 3 that we interviewed and offered and turned us down, part of it was when we showed them the space. We opened the door and said, here's your classroom. They could go to any, and just about anywhere else and have a more attractive space. It shouldn't be about that, but that matters. That matters a lot. It sends a message what you value, what you've invested in. And so, yeah, having a new space will help. When Mr. Comet retires someday, we will be proud to show off our ag and welding space. And that'll matter to a prospective teacher.
So then are you planning on building the gym on the west side of the school?
To be determined yet. That's not fine. Nothing up here is the plan. We won't get to that point.
Saying if you build it on the west, and that blocks all the cold air coming from the north and the snow and stuff.
Yeah, and snow's a big consideration when I look at where the gym goes, because the taller that element is, I get snow drift. And part of what I'm trying to avoid is putting more snow on this building, where I have to come back and reinforce all your roof joists because they didn't have that snow drift design originally. So that's something, again, people might say, well, why is there a gap there? Or why are there... There's things that I'm doing logically because I've come across it on other jobs where if I'm building a gym in like Plan A and this space is as tall as this space, there's no issue because I'm not adding snow drift. But when I build this gym too close to your current offices, I might add some snow drift, or vice versa on the elementary side. Not that it can't be done, but when we're talking budgets and trying to get things down to a logical budget, there's things that I can do to avoid additional costs that are not things that further the educational benefits to the students. You know, nobody's going to see if you came in and reinforced every bar joist above all your elementary classrooms. Any other comments?
2 weeks from today is the 3rd of November.
Yeah, we're still on pace saying
Would
every
you
2 weeks.
You'd be ready for 2 weeks from today with some
You'd be
updated.
ready. I'm going to say we're pretty close here, other than we've got to work on subdividing, fixing some locking limitations. But I think this block is as big as we would get. Nothing else will probably condense a few elements here and add some space back here.
That might be, I mean, depending when you get us the plan, 2 weeks might be a little quick. I mean, 3 weeks would probably be better on the budgeting side.
So the other way to look at this is, it's nice to have a number that we can tag, but we talked about the third being Tobin's meeting.
Yes.
So Tobin from.
Tobin's our fiscal agent.
Fiscal agent for Northland Group. We want him to be able to come in and start again laying out for you. I can give him these general numbers to say, hey, if it's all the green and all the yellow, this is the high end. And he'll use that as a high end number as an example, and then he'll probably go in increments backwards from there so that you guys can start to see what the fiscal impact would be. Is it 35 million? Is it 30? Is it 25? Is it 20? Is it a 20-year, a 25, or a 30-year? He'll be able to talk you through all of those options. We could then also come back. Ideally, we will have given Houseman in a week's time, roughly, an updated plan so they can start the cost estimating. And if nothing else, we can say it won't be any more than what Tobin shares. But then by, after the third, 2 weeks after that, we would come back with your full budget explanation. And that's right before Thanksgiving week, right?
Correct. It's the week before Thanksgiving is the 27th, so it's 17th. So if we go the 3rd and the 17th, then we're getting the board close to passing a resolution the second Monday of December. If we're still on pace for a February mail-in, which we're not tied to that.
Yeah,
right?
that's
We can still.
a discussion point for this group in 2 weeks from now too. Do you want to try to keep at a pace where you have to make these final decisions so the board can act? If you want a February bond, they have to act in December.
How are we gonna do it in May?
Yeah.
Well, that was always a fallback. Yes, we have time to get it done in February, but we're up against the clock. But you can sure, if you don't feel the community's ready, you can go to May, easy.
The advantage we talked about February though, from the start, was giving time for construction in the spring. Right? You said at the start, Bob, was that it'd be great.
February bond vote
It'll move.
is way easier for Housemen to be able to get footings in the ground well ahead of frost. A May vote puts us right on the bubble, other than having some early bid packages, which is a challenge from a designer standpoint because it locks my plan really early, where I have less flexibility to make the adjustments to, where does the ag classroom sit within a space or as an appendage to the space. Both are options. It's, do you feel we are moving at a pace where you would feel comfortable in 2, maybe 3 more meetings? We might have to have one more that right away in December before the school board meeting. If you want a February pace, then we've got 3 meetings left to finalize and come to some kind of agreement to say this makes sense. If you say February seems still too fast, that's fine. We can just continue on the 2-week pace, and then your real deadline is in March.
We don't have to decide that right now.
I think it depends on how good your drawing is, the 2 weeks.
I don't disagree. But you can see the process, right? From 4 plans to 2 plans to hopefully 1 plan. We're going to keep adding layers of information. And the goal is you're working through this process, right? So you can understand, well, why was the shop where it was? Why did the locker rooms move? Why is the gym where it is? Because you have those questions. Everybody else that's sitting outside of this building right now that has a vote is going to ask the same thing. So you as a committee are an integral part that I use in every community where it's, you're here to understand the why. You're here to understand why did we land on this cost? Why did we recommend to the school board this is a logical scope? And we as this community group can support it. Because you're going to, all the same questions you're asking me, you're going to get the exact same questions once this hits the street.
The one meeting I wanted to come to is in the finance, and I can't be on here. So either you have to talk to me really well, or tape it or something. So I understand.
And if Tobin or one of his representatives would be here then 2 weeks after that, you could grab him and take him to the corner and say, walk me through this again.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I'll try and visit your ladies. So that is, as soon as we get that, some of that specificity, that's when we're proactive to engage the community as much as we can in a variety of platforms. Here are the facts, and so that's kind of tough it's kind of tough to do, to try to reach people, on that, but as soon as we have that clarity, then we've got we'll have literature and a website built and all that. But I get it, we don't want to feel rushed, but there is a big advantage to being done in February. If it fails in February, we can reconfigure and have a second election still in 2026, in November. If it fails in May, then it's 2027 before we can even bring it back to the voters. So there's some advantage, but you don't want to do it before you feel comfortable.
If we stay on pace, if everyone's willing, stay on the pace we're on, and if we get to that point and we're not ready, we wait if we think we're comfortable.
And that's the benefit of having this be a school board meeting. You guys can hear the reactions too. And you're part of the process to know, are you comfortable with
Yeah.
December?
I don't want to push these guys harder than they're willing, but if they're willing to keep on pace, I think that'd be great.
What else do we have?
Apparently something else on November 3rd. So can we go 6:30 on that? I have a 6 o'clock meeting on November 3rd. And I'd like to use the media center, and I want to push us back to the media center. So could we go 6:30 on Monday the 3rd, as opposed to 6? Because I can be done by 6:30 in that, I have a meeting in that same room.
That's fine for me.
It's a little later.
And again, we'll share out our updated plans with you ahead of time, just like we have been. Everybody will have the opportunity to see this information prior to the next meeting. Okay.
Mr. Rasmussen, are we adjourned?
Yeah, we have a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks again, guys. 2 hours of good discussion and progress.